What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. I'm out here in San Francisco, and it couldn't be a better place to make today's episode. We are going to be talking about an under-the-radar VC firm that I'm super excited about. I'm talking about Shrug Capital, which is a startup, sort of micro VC angel firm that is founded by the 28-year-old Niv Dror. Recently popped up on my radar. Niv got in contact with me on Twitter. I've been talking to him back and forth. Also noticed him because I feel like he's half the reason those Adam shoes that I'm actually wearing right now have gotten so much buzz on the internet. He's an angel investor in that company. So I've been following Niv for the past couple months, and I've just been fascinated with what he's doing. I think he's making all of the right moves. I think he's going to be someone that is going to be a household name in terms of Silicon Valley investors in just 5 years, and that is why I think it's so important to be paying attention to him and his firm Shrug Capital now. So who is Niv Dror? A little bit of background on Niv. He worked at a company called Product Hunt, which was a company that rates and makes news and blogs about different startups, product and services that are coming out. Super well known in Silicon Valley. Product Hunt was then bought by AngelList about a year or two ago, and then Niv became the head of marketing at AngelList before starting Shrug Capital and raising $3 million to start his first fund of Shrug Capital. And Shrug Capital is actually literally named after the shrug emoji, which he has tattooed on his wrist. I've seen it. It's not a joke. So I think that's hilarious, and that sort of is the vibe or sort of mentality of Shrug. So Shrug is, the emoji is just so fitting for them, because Shrug Capital is a consumer-facing venture capital startup, so they want to invest in products that consumers are using. And so I think Shrug Capital is unique for a couple reasons. First, it has this super young founder who I think is, has his pulse on Silicon Valley, and I think that's really exciting. The second thing is that he has an incredible roster of people who have backed Shrug Capital. Now, from this Axios article, I don't exactly know how he did this, but this just, to me, shows that someone who's super young, who's been in the Valley, just must have incredible hustle, networking skills, and just gets it done. Because according to this article, he has Cyan Bannister, Chris and Crystal Saka, Mark Andreessen, Chris Dixon, Amity Ventures, Social Capital, David Sachs, Keith Rabios, Kevin Rose, as personal investors in his venture capital firm. For those who don't know, Cyan Bannister, Chris Saka, Mark Andreessen, Chris Dixon, these are some of the most successful angel and venture capital investors of all time. Twitter, Uber, Facebook, Airbnb, whatever, Lyft, you name it. Those companies were funded at their very earliest stages by either these investors or their firms, and these are some of the most smartest, well-connected people in Silicon Valley, and they have personally put money into Shrug Capital. So that is a reason why I'm watching Shrug super closely as well. Then the third thing is, I actually think Shrug, in a weird way, is a value add to the companies they invest in. Now, this is something that yet I think is a big debate in the venture space is, okay, if you're gonna give money to a startup, there's a million people who can just write a check. What are you gonna do beyond that check? Are you just commoditize capital, or can you be a value add? And I think Shrug Capital is a huge value add. First of all, I follow Niv on Twitter. He's got 20-something thousand followers. He's always tweeting about different stuff, making funny tweets about products. So I think he's sort of like a finance, econ, VC influencer. So I think getting him on your product is really smart. So I think his adeptness at social media is actually a huge marketing advantage for these early stage startups. And additionally, his Shrug Capital account is run like a parody account, which doesn't really follow anybody, and they tweet all these jokes about having Adam's cleaning stations. There's just let me read you a couple of the tweets from the Shrug Capital page so you can get a flavor for it. So this is just one example of a tweet that Shrug Capital did. At TechCrunch Disrupt, he says, "Good luck to our colleagues and friends who've been asked to speak at TC Disrupt. Helpful tips: dress like your avatar pic, amplify your inspirational story by including catchy sound bites for Twitter. Adam's cleaning stations are 100% complimentary for main stage speakers." So a bunch of inside VC jokes, which I just think is hilarious. I've never seen anyone do this. And Niv, for instance, this tweet here shows this vest that he wore on Cheddar, where he wrote in whiteout venture capitalist on the vest to make a joke about how every VC in Silicon Valley wears these vests. I just love this sort of joking, fun mentality, which also is perfectly in line with the type of companies that Niv and that Shrug are investing in. So they have this one company called Uranium, which makes these sort of super personalized gift. It sort of gififies you. And as you can see, these are just hilarious. I had so much fun showing these to my friends. The reaction of just having personal, these are the type of businesses that Niv and that Shrug are funding that I think are so funny. And you might say wow, custom gifts, this is so weird. There's not a market for that. What's the future revenue there? What's their business model going to be? And I think that, sure, those are all great questions, but I think him investing in products that are super exciting, that are different, that people want to use and have fun using, and having that be the prerequisite of a good product is just so fascinating. I think that's hitting the nail on the head of why he's gonna see things before other people do, because instead of boxing himself into, is this gonna make money today? What's the revenue model gonna be today? And I don't wanna speak for Niv or Shrug Capital, but I get the sense that he just invests in these startups and like sort of basically things that look like toys to start, but really eventually could become huge businesses. For instance, even Shrug Capital on their website, their like sort of mantra or slogan is, the next big thing will start out looking like a toy. And so these are the kind of really interesting consumer-facing companies that he invests in. I believe Niv is an investor in a company called Panda, which is a super young, like 18-year-old founder, sort of a weird AR app. I downloaded and played around with it a little. To be honest, I didn't really even get it. I think it's still in stealth mode. But so like that's an example of a company he's invested in. Additionally, Atoms, which are the shoes I'm wearing, which I love. I'm gonna make an episode about these. Niv is an investor in those. So all these little funny consumer companies. Additionally, there's another one called Superhuman, which is a new type of like sort of like email app for your phone and desktop. To sum it up, I think Niv and Shrug Capital are really fascinating to watch for a couple different reasons. First of all, I follow him on Twitter. I consider him a friend. I think Niv is just a really smart dude who is doing it differently, who's creating his own path. Like, he's really sort of going 0 to 1 in the way that he's doing a VC firm true to himself, how he would do it with the companies that he gets. And like, he even has this funny rule where he only wants to invest in things that he can talk for like an hour about just for fun because he's so excited about them. And I think that's like an awesome rule. And these sort of simple, like back of the napkin thumb rules just make me think he's gonna be really good at this. We have, an A-list Silicon Valley investors investing in Shrug Capital, which in a weird way makes it almost sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because think about it. If you're Shrug Capital and you only have a $3 million fund, you're making a 50, 100K, 150K bets, whatever, those are sort of like almost angel style investments that come in before major VC firms like Mark Andreessen or Andreessen Horowitz, who are invested in his angel fund. So once you're sort of in this network of Silicon Valley, I think it's really easy to get in these good startups because all the VC firms are in these angel funds and using them to scout out new investments for them. So I think that's a really interesting angle. A+ people, the couple different startups that I've seen, Uranium, Atoms, Superhuman, I think these all, and Panda, like I think these are all really exciting companies. Way too early to see if any of them will work, but I love the style of all of those. Additionally, with Shrug, like how many other VC companies have a parody Twitter account? Like I just think these are the kind of things that are gonna win. So that sort of sums it up. And at the end of the day, like I wanted to make this episode because I was actually gonna do a podcast with Niv, but that didn't work out. But I still want to make an episode to put Shrug Capital on all of your radars, because I don't have any data or like hard numbers that I could point to of why I think he's gonna be so awesome or why he's gonna win, but it's just a gut feeling. He knows the right people, he's got the right mentality, he's doing the right, like I don't know, I think this is exactly like and what's also so exciting and inspiring is Niv is leveraging the infrastructure that companies like Angel List have built to make it super easy to launch these sort of micro VC funds. And so I think he's starting a playbook that a lot of young people are going to follow. I think this is a totally new way to raise money and be an investor. I mean, to be a venture capitalist with $3 million at 28 is insane. And for him to have come up on the industry on his own and just sort of hustled to get there is a testament to how awesome he is, and also how the tools and technology have made it so easy to start a fund, that I think that's a really fascinating way to look at Shrug as well. And so as sort of this new hybrid or new class of like VC startups. Anyway, that wraps up this episode. Definitely check out Niv's Twitter page and Shrug's Twitter page. I'll put a link in the description. If you have any questions, comments, please leave it below. Also, if you like Hyperchange, definitely check out our Patreon page and consider supporting there. Anyway, that sums it up. If there is one VC firm that I could put capital towards in 2018, it would be Shrug Capital. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.